Hey, what's up guys? This is Nick at BarBend.com, and today I'm going to be comparing two very popular but very different protein powders, Dymatize ISO 100 and BSN's Syntha-6. Both of these products are very popular, but they have a lot of differences, not just in the type of protein they contain, but in the sheer number of ingredients they contain. If you want to save some time, just check out my full list of the best whey protein powders on the market. Just Google BarBend plus best whey. But if you want to stick around, today I'm going to talk about the brands, the taste, the nutrition, the ingredients, the price, and the pros and cons of each product. So let's get started. So Dymatize was founded over 20 years ago. They're currently based in Dallas, Texas. One interesting thing about this brand is that all their products are tested by Informed Choice for banned substances. That's a third-party testing company, and that can be really good news for competitive athletes who are really worried about that kind of stuff. And they do sponsor a lot of different athletes. They sponsor MMA athletes and physique athletes and a bunch of people in between, with the idea being that anyone can benefit from the right nutrition and the right training. They've got a bunch of different products as well, but the company themselves describes ISO 100 as their flagship product, and it's mostly hydrolyzed whey. I'm going to talk about what that means a little bit later on. BSN, on the other hand, stands for Bioengineered Supplements and Nutrition. It's a bit of a newer company than Dymatize. They were founded in 2001, but they're enormously popular. They ship to over 40,000 retailers in the United States and like over 90 countries worldwide. So they're very popular. I think their popularity does have a bit to do with the fact that they're very reasonably priced. But it's also because, in my opinion, they have a lot of different products for different needs. They have about 7 different protein powders out there, for instance, but I think Syntha-6 is the most popular one, and it is a blend of a bunch of different proteins. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on as well. Now, obviously, a really important question when comparing two brands is which one tastes better, and I'm very happy to report that both of these brands have achieved the very, very, very rare feat of tasting good with water. It's a very unusual thing with protein powders. Dymatize, this is the chocolate peanut butter flavor. I've also tried the gourmet chocolate flavor. They both taste great with water. They are both quite sweet, so they don't really lean so much on the creamy side of the flavor spectrum. Instead, they really go relatively heavy on the sweetness. So that's my opinion as to why it tastes very good with water. If you have a sweet tooth, I definitely think Dymatize is going to be your best bet. BSN Syntha-6, on the other hand, I'm going to mention this in the next section, but spoiler alert, this has way more carbs and way more fat, so it is way more delicious in my opinion. BSN more goes through the alley of creaminess. This is a more creamy flavor. This is the chocolate flavor. Chocolate milkshake is the actual name of it. I've also tried the banana flavor, and both of these products, if you gave them to me pre-mixed, I would believe you if you told me they'd been mixed with milk. So it's a much creamier, fattier flavor, and it's also quite sweet as well. So if you like things creamy, Syntha-6 is for you. If you like them sweet, go with Dymatize. So what about the actual nutrition and the protein? Well, Dymatize offers more protein. In this, one scoop is 120 calories. You get 25 grams of protein, 2 grams of carbohydrates, and half a gram of fat. So that comes to 4.8 calories per gram of protein. And pure protein is like 4 calories per gram. So yeah, it's a lot of protein per calorie. BSN, on the other hand, I should point out the serving size is quite a lot larger. This is 47 grams per scoop as opposed to Dymatize's 32 grams per scoop. But BSN still has less protein. In one scoop is 22 grams of protein, 15 grams of carbohydrates with 5 grams of fiber, and 6 grams of fat with 2 grams of saturated fat. So a scoop of BSN is 200 calories, and a scoop of Dymatize is 120 calories. And BSN, that's a little over 9 calories per gram of protein. So it's less strictly a protein powder if that's important to you. It's also worth pointing out that BSN, while it is lower in protein, there's an argument to be made that it's more nutritious. So it has way more fiber because Dymatize has no fiber, and there's 5 grams here. It also has about 50% more calcium. It has about 4 times more iron. It's almost twice as much potassium, but there's also about 8 times more cholesterol in BSN. So it kind of depends on what your goals are. Now, as for the actual ingredients, let's compare the protein first, which we can probably agree is the most important part of a protein powder. Dymatize ISO 100, this is a hydrolyzed whey protein powder, or at least it's mostly hydrolyzed. There's also some isolate in there, but it is predominantly known as a hydrolyzed whey-based protein powder. So hydrolyzed whey is also called whey hydrolyzed, and it is pretty much the most processed form of whey you can buy. The least processed is whey concentrate. Then there's whey isolate, which has a lot of the carbs and fat stripped out. And then there's whey hydrolyzed, which has enzymes or acids used to kind of break it down. And a lot of people consider it like partially digested. So for that reason, it digests a bit more easily for some folks. Some people who have difficulty digesting regular whey can find it a lot easier to digest whey hydrolyzed. And it also digests more quickly. So what does that mean for the actual athlete? Well, the There are some studies that suggest, there was one published in 2010 for instance, that taking whey hydrolyzed helps athletes to recover a bit more quickly between workouts. Like in that particular study, athletes regained power more quickly than the group that was taking whey isolate. Now you're probably not an elite athlete yourself, but nonetheless, there is a potential pro for a hydrolyzed whey-based protein powder. And as for BSN, it contains pretty much every protein except for hydrolyzed whey. So this has got a protein matrix of whey concentrate, whey isolate, calcium caseinate, micellar casein, milk protein isolate, and egg albumin like egg white, and also some glutamine peptides. So why would you want to have all those different types of protein instead? Well, this is a blend of like fast and moderate and slow digesting proteins. So it's considered more of an anytime protein shake. In fact, that's the language that they use on the front of the tub here. So while hydrolyzed whey digests super quickly, which is useful for some folks, this digests more slowly and it releases amino acids into the bloodstream over a longer period of time. So for that reason, some people like to take this before bed because it could potentially help muscle protein synthesis last for longer. And I have indeed seen some rodent studies that suggest taking a mixture of whey and casein, as is included here, is more beneficial for long-term muscle protein synthesis than just taking whey. If that's a goal of yours, then this could be better for muscle protein synthesis over a longer period of time. As for the rest of the ingredients, there's not a lot to talk about with Dymatize. There's really just natural and artificial flavors, some salt, soy lecithin for mixability, some potassium, and some sucralose, which is also called Splenda, the artificial sweetener. BSN, on the other hand, has a ton of other ingredients. I'm not going to list them all here because that would take a really long time, but this has got everything from corn syrup solids to sunflower oil to MCT powder to like non-fat dry milk, a bunch of chemicals as well. There's some gum in here as well, cellulose gum. There's an extra artificial sweetener, acesulfame potassium, in addition to the Splenda. And there's also some digestive enzymes. So you might consider that a con. It's a lot more complicated, this ingredients list. The gum can also cause some people digestive upset sometimes. But then again, it also does have papain and bromelain, these two digestive enzymes, which some studies suggest could potentially help to reduce digestive discomfort and bloating and things like that. So if that's something you experience with the whey protein powder, it's possible you'll have a better time with this one. All right, so which protein powder is cheaper? Well, Dymatize, this sub here is 1.6 pounds. This is like the standard size you get it, which is relatively small, but 1.6 pounds. That's gonna be between $29 and $56. Like I've seen the price vary a ton, but on average, you're looking at, let's say $35 or so. So that comes to about $1.50 per scoop, or very roughly speaking, 6 cents per gram of protein. BSN, on the other hand, this is the 5-pound tub. If you wanted to get the smaller tub, which is about 2.9 pounds. The cost is going to be between $1 and $1.20 per scoop, or slightly under 5 cents per gram of protein. So BSN is cheaper than Dymatize, but since hydrolyzed whey is so much more expensive to produce, it's not a big surprise. All right, so which of these protein powders is best for you? Well, I'm going to talk about the pros of Dymatize first. It appears the research does suggest that this would be better for athletes who need to recover very quickly from training, especially if you train twice a day. This is not 100% hydrolyzed whey, but nonetheless, that is what the research suggests when comparing the two products. It also has a lot more protein per calorie, like it's more of a strict protein powder. It's got more protein per serving, more protein per calorie, way lower in carbohydrates, way lower in fat, and lower in cholesterol, if that's important to you. It's also just lower in ingredients. So like, while this does still have soy and artificial sweeteners, so it's not exactly an all natural product, BSN does nonetheless have ingredients from corn and has like acesulfame potassium, which is like another potentially problematic artificial sweetener. There are a lot more things you might find issues with in BSN than in Dymatize, so that could be a pro. And then finally, this has under 0.5 gram of lactose per serving, so it is a lot less likely to trigger lactose sensitivities than BSN, but I'm not a doctor, so speak to your physician if you have any concerns about that. BSN, on the other hand, besides the obvious fact that this is cheaper, which is going to be the deciding factor for a lot of people, I also want to point out that the research does suggest that this blend of proteins might be better for longer term muscle protein synthesis and might trigger that effect for a longer period of time. Now, practically speaking, that's probably not going to make much of an actual difference to your physique, but nonetheless, that is like very important for a lot of people, so I should emphasize that. This is also more nutritious, so it has like a bunch of fiber in here as well, like 20% of the recommended daily intake of fiber in one scoop. And it's got more vitamins and minerals as well. So a lot of people are gonna be happy about that. So it's got MCT fats. I think it tastes a bit better just because I like creamier sort of shakes. And then finally, this also has the digestive enzymes, papain and bromelain, which again, as I mentioned earlier, could potentially help with digestive discomfort, although it doesn't have lactase and it does appear to contain lactose. So people with lactose sensitivities, they might not like this one so much. Alright, so that's my comparison of Dymatize ISO 100 and BSN Syntha-6. They both have a lot of pros. It really depends on your own individual goals. So if you want to see my full roundup though of all the best whey protein powders on the market, just make sure you Google BarBend plus best whey.